We'd like to spend 20 to 30 minutes allowing the audience an opportunity to ask questions. So if you would like to ask the panels, we'll get a pro and con answer for each question. I'd invite you to come down to either of the mics and we'll go back and forth. Thank you, sir.
Good morning. My name is Tino Arcota. I'm managing operation. I have a few questions I want to ask you guys. Union members have told me if I vote the merit system, we will get bigger raises, longer breaks, and longer lunches. I could repeat the question one more time.
I understand the question. So, I'm not aware of that taking place. I think that one of the benefits of the merit system is that a commission can do a reclassification study. And as a part of that reclassification study, they will take a look at comparables, like surrounding districts that the district normally compares itself to see if that position is appropriately compensated, not just in compared to external districts, but also internally, right? So the commission, when doing a reclassification study, does a salary analysis, and they look both at internal and external comps, and then they make a recommendation to the district, right? That turns into the district's first bargaining proposal, right? And then at that point, the district and CSEA negotiate from that point.
If I can just augment that a little bit. The Personnel Commission doesn't have jurisdiction over salary raises or break times or lunch times or anything like that. That is the subject of collective bargaining, as addressed in the bargaining agreement. The Personnel Commission does have authority to do classification or reclassification studies. If someone asks them to and they find it worthwhile, they can take a look at the work people perform and decide whether in fact it's a higher grade and deserving of a higher salary. But the commission itself is not going to make any decision, it doesn't have a jurisdiction to address those salary and lunchtime issues and so forth that are the subject of collective bargaining.
Thank you.
Good morning. First of all, I just have a comment. I like the merit program of the fact that I presented an outline. It would have been great if there was an outline for the con, kind of like if there was a left and right, pro and con. So I'm old school. I would, like to be able to see it, take it home, and be able to view your perspective. I have the pro perspective, but I don't really have yours. I've been working for the district for 15 years almost, and I've always found it to be very fair, even in the hiring process. So I think I don't really have any questions. Maybe the one question is it says you have $78 million in a budget. I don't know where that goes to. My concern is, as a paraeducator, I would like to see in the merit system, which I'm tending towards, that there is more description of our job and what we are to do, if that's going to be a part of it. And then also have the background of students and supplies to help facilitate. Because I think the whole, beyond the merit system, this is about the kids. The question for the group is, can we get a cons side of done paperwork, either emailed to all of us or sent? Okay, and that's it. So thank you so much.
Hello? Oh, there we go. I was like, my voice carries. Okay, so good morning, everyone. My question is, I I understand that the district has recently reclassified 2 director positions into assistant superintendents with significant raises. Why is it that the district always has money to spend on administrators but not on classified?
One thing I would encourage you is to maintain the questions that'll help build the pro and con regarding the merit system. I can respond to that. The district eliminated the deputy superintendent and 1 director and created 2 assistant superintendents. So the number of people in educational services stayed the same and resulted in a savings to Tustin Unified School District.
Thank you.
But your perception here in Tustin is what you see is what's going on in Tustin. You heard stories about other districts. You heard stories about, well, these were good candidates. I know them. Trust me. But one of the main reasons we're here today is because you've lost some trust of the process from your own experiences, your own stories that you've shared. When I was a labor rep and with others, and yeah, it might take a little bit longer, but you want to make sure that it's transparent and that you get to see what's going on and that you have a chance.
I wanted to briefly add too is that as part of like reclassifications under a merit system, the commission will review every job for over a course of 5 years. So every 5 years, every single position is reviewed and a study is done. In some districts, they actually even do it more frequently, 3 years.
Just want to very quickly add, Ed Code requires in the merit system that vacancies be posted for 15 school days. So there's no, how did he get, how did that, I didn't know about that job. No, it has to be posted for 15 days. If there's already an eligibility list that you're on, then you can actually be interviewed, because if the top 3, we talk about that top 3 ranks, if somebody gets hired, you start moving up in that list. So you could get called for an interview within a year. And also too, in Ocean View, I was hired in 3 weeks. So it's a very quick and a very, very efficient process.
Hi, good morning. I actually have a comment and I'm really confused. I know they talked about misrepresentation of information, and I can say that at my school site, when they came out, they told my staff that it was for more raises, more money, and more rights. And when I found that out from our aides, I became concerned. I thought to myself, you know what, let me look into it, let me try to get some information for our people and have them informed so that they can make an informed decision. So I started looking into the merit system, and I think I'm more confused than anything. And what I'm looking at is, to be able to hire someone, they have to be hired within those 3 top people. So what if you have a great test taker with awful performance? So does that mean that we will be bumping up the people that have the terrible performance versus the people that are working really hard, coming to work and are dedicated in their job over these people, because those are the only choices that we have to hire? To me, that is a concern. The other thing is,
Can I just clarify, just for purposes of clarification, because I've heard it expressed 2 ways. We've talked about the rank of 3 and talking about hiring the top 3 people. The rank of 3 may include 3 or 4 or 5 or more people. So people who get the highest score, if they're 2, as I mentioned earlier, if 2 people are score 90, they're rank 1. The next 2 people might score 87, they're rank 2. So the rank of 3 isn't necessarily 3 people. It may be more than 3 people. Although your comments are not directed directly to that, I just want to make sure that's clarified for everybody's benefit.
Yeah, thank you for that clarification. I was going to make the same clarification. And you get to try over and over. I mean, it's not like it's the end. I've seen it to a commissioner where The folks have tried multiple times. It's the story that I shared, and we finally were able to pass and qualify. We're most qualified employees to be with our students. And if your perception is it's a friend or a family member and there's no transparency and it happens a little bit too much, maybe you're looking for an alternative.
Also, too, just remember, the merit system does not equal written tests. It's not always, I've been through merit system processes in hiring in IT where there was no written test. It was actually a first interview and a final interview. So it's not always a written exam. Sometimes you actually have to show that you can actually do the job. You can actually show people that can actually work on a computer or work on a piece of equipment. So there's that as well.
Okay, I'd like to respond to that. So he did say sometimes it's not a written test, but sometimes it is. And then with the response about families and friends working in the district, yes, sometimes we have families and friends working in the district because we work for a great district. So we tell our family and friends, we work for a great district. Come work for us. Come be with us and be in our district. So you should not be considered simply because you're a friend or family of someone working in the school district. And then she brought up the 15 days. Yes, 15 days, the job has to be posted. So that's 15 days there's someone not in that position. Then on top of that, they have to be tested. And then on top of that, they have to be interviewed. And then they have to go to fingerprinting. So 15 days can very quickly become 3 months or more.
About the 15 days notification, the rule was written when there was no technology. These days, there are emails sent out and also postings to job sites about vacancies. So the recruitment is now more efficient. In the past at LA Unified, we had to mail out that there are vacancies. Like every Monday, we sent out mass email letters out to notify our candidates. These days with technology, you'll be notified. So that 15 days is not necessary these days.
My name's James Johnson. I'm a grounds person in maintenance and operations. I've been here 7.5 years. This is directed to the con side. You say that positions may get unfilled for a long period of time, but I've been in our department, which in the grounds department has very only few positions that you can bump into in an advancement. There's one currently on the books. It's a 40. It's an irrigation specialist assistant, and that has been unfilled. I don't even know. I've been here 7.5 years, and my department desperately needs it. Why hasn't that been filled?
Thank you, James. I'm not sure our panelists can... So we'll probably need to take that one up individually. I don't have a specific answer on that exact question, so thank you.
But you're HR, you should know.
Again, and it goes to applicants, qualified, etc. So we'll pick that one up. Thank you, James.
Hi. I was a school teacher in Anaheim City School District for quite a while, and now I'm kind of semi-retired. I did see nepotism, this is a comment, but I did see nepotism in Anaheim. I saw it, and as a teacher with friends who are also teachers, we were disappointed about the person they put into the technology position because he was the son of 2 other people, the father and the mother, who were also in the school district. And he did a very, very poor position. We complained, nothing happened. But one question that I have is about the 3, I'm getting confused about it too, about the 3 positions, or the top 3% or whatever it is. You're saying that it takes a long time to fill the position, right? So I'm wondering, like, why would it take a long time if you have 3 qualified people? I mean, did they go into the position to get fired right away? I mean, I don't understand that.
The length of time has more to do with getting to the point of establishing an eligibility list than the rank of 3. In other words, the necessity of publishing announcements, of running a test which is more elaborate than might otherwise be run by the district in a non-formal merit situation, is what takes the time. Once a list is established, then the vacancy can be filled by the administrator in charge by the rank of 3. And the rank of 3, as I mentioned before, it has to do with not the top 3 finishers, but the people who get the top score, who share the top score, are going to be in the first rank. People who have the next highest score, sharing a score, like if they both get it, as I was describing, 2 people get 90.
I don't understand why it takes so long to hire them. I mean, if they're there and they've passed the test, I don't understand why they haven't been hired.
It's the running of the test that takes the time. Not at the end. Once its scores are established and an eligibility list is published, it should proceed pretty quickly.
So that is a union issue, or that's a district issue, a personnel issue, that it takes so long for the test to get scored?
It's more a merit system issue, in our estimation.
Okay.
Because we talked about before that merits. I acknowledge the merit system works in some places, and I specifically, my most specific example is a large school district like LA Unified. I was there a long time. I could see the need for a formal merit system. But a merit system, the downside is that it drags things out. It takes longer to accomplish things because there are formalities required. Everybody talks about nepotism. I've been around a long time. Believe me, nepotism, I know nepotism exists. I'm not denying nepotism. I don't know about here in this particular district, but in other employment, public and private sector, nepotism exists. Something has to be combated. The question becomes whether, as just one small example, you want to create a formal merit system and a personnel commission and create personnel commission rules and have this panoply, this large number of rules that slows processes down. If in fact the illness you're treating is fairly minimal in nature, it may not be worth prescribing all this medication.
So let me really clarify that rule of 3, okay? So it's not just the top 3 people. I want to make that very, very, very clear to everybody. People can tie. I have seen 20 people be interviewed in a merit system for one position. That is possible, because basically it's the people that score the top, but there are ties. Remember, everything is rounded. Under Ed Code, it's a whole number. So people can tie at the top 3. There could be people who score 100, there could be people who score 90, 80. There are also things called seniority points. If you've been working for the district for any number of years, you actually get additional points. So you automatically get additional points just by virtue of you working in the district. So you already have an outside advantage against outside people. The other thing is this. When you talk about filling positions, again, I was hired in 3 weeks after the position closed, right? So I knew about the position for basically 3 weeks, applied, and then went through the process. Within 3 weeks, I was hired and starting the job, right? And so, if you believe that the eligibility list, if the testing process at any point is not fair, you can actually go to the Personnel Commission. By the way, one of those commissioners, you have 3 commissioners, one of those commissioners you appoint. You, as CSEA members, appoint a commissioner. You have power in over the HR office that is now dedicated to just you as classified. You can imagine that, an HR office is dedicated to just classified, that can answer your questions, that has to do everything in the open, transparently under the Brown Act. So now you have somebody that you go to say, hey, this list is not fair. This testing process was not fair. This whole process was not fair. And everyone has to listen to it, because there are things that your union, we do negotiate for a lot of things. However, there are some things like the hiring process that we cannot negotiate. So that's where the Personnel Commission comes in. So why not have something that's more transparent? Why not have something that you can actually go to and say, look, this whole testing process, this whole hiring process is not fair. And that's what we're really trying to get, is transparency and accountability for something that should be open to everybody and give you, the people who've been working here many years, a chance to promote. I've been through the reclassification process in the merit system. I've been through the promotional process. It does work. I would not be standing here as one of you, classified employees, who believes in it so much. I wouldn't be standing here in front of you and telling you this if I knew it didn't work. I'm not paid to do this. I'm a volunteer. So I'm here to let you know that this does work.
As far as the timeline, positions that are very difficult to recruit, like I think my friend is referring to IT positions. Public sector, we cannot compete with the private sector. Whether you're merit or non-merit districts, we have to be quick. So we eliminate, let's say, written tests. We go straight forward with an interview. Otherwise, we will lose our candidates. But most of our positions are not difficult to recruit. Those are the ones that take a lot of time, a lot of applicants, and a lot of hurdles in order to be placed on the eligibility list.
This is a two-part question for you guys. California has 1,026 school districts. Why do only 9% utilize the merit system? How is the efficiency of the merit system measured?
I think that there's a lot of good examples of districts out there that don't need them, right? And unfortunately, this is not an example of a school district that doesn't need the merit system. And then, to answer your other question, how efficient it's measured is that CSEA passed legislation a number of years back that requires the personnel director to put out an annual report to the public and to the school board. And they have to track and measure how long it takes to recruit employees, how many individuals they've tested, how many people hired. All of that information has to be tracked and given to the public, given to classified, and given to the school board on an annual basis. That information does not have to be delivered in the same way for a non-merit school district. So it's harder to determine with certainty, how efficient non-school districts are because that information isn't codified in an annual report like the merit system is.
I also want to say to that, when you say 9% of all school districts, they employ 60% of the classified staff in the state. So the vast majority of classified staff, basically the full number, is employed by merit districts. And also too, I forgot to mention one thing. The reason why there's a most of the time that I've seen, there's a slowdown or why positions are vacant for so long is because the management has not put in the requisition. So the requisition has to come in from the district in order to start the recruiting process. So that's why a lot of times that's where you see that slowdown. The vacancy is there's no requisition for that. It has to come from the district.
If I can just address the question. I think it's probably an accurate observation to say that there's a larger than 9% of the classified employees are covered, and it's because of what I indicated earlier. A lot of the larger school districts, LAUSD is, I don't even know, but maybe 30% of the state right there. A lot of the larger school districts are merit system districts, and I think with some justification, and that's why you see a large percentage of classified employees covered. But the statistics you have, which I think I mentioned earlier, 9% of 1,026 school districts are merit systems. There's a reason why. And we're left to speculate somewhat, but I think we pointed out at least a few of them in our discussion here today. It's just a matter of deciding whether in this particular district you feel that what I would consider to be the additional drag on processes, including hiring. And I respectfully disagree that it's based on delays by administrators requesting exams, because that's kind of self-defeating if you want to keep your particular job responsibility in motion and act proactive. You're asking for exams usually as soon as possible, but the examination process just necessarily is a drag. So I think that has been sufficient response to it.
We're going to go ahead and wrap up.